Hi, I'm Jennifer Pownall, and this is Front Steps Philly. Tonight I have a very special, amazing feature. I kind of am bringing the best of both worlds together. I have a very talented movie producer that I'm going to interview, and I have a very talented singer, songwriter, musician. We have the wonderful Sherri North, who's going to play her amazing music, and we're going to find out who is Sherri North. And we have executive producer of Right Before Your Eyes, VINCENT BOBB. And I know a little something about Right Before Your Eyes, and we're going to talk about the movie, we're going to talk about the music, we're going to talk about how we all come together as one between the music and the movie. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys listen to the wonderful, amazing Sherri North. She's going to go ahead and start playing her music. Go ahead, Sherri. Who's Sherri North? You have to tell us. Tell us about you. Tell us about how you got into the world of music. I'm very curious, and I know everybody else is. So.
Well, about me, I am a pretty spiritual person. I would say that first and foremost. I've worked in the music business a long time in different aspects. How I got into music, you know, I've always loved music. People in my family have been, you know, musicians and around music, you know, growing up, of course. My first love was an organ. I had an organ when I was really, really young, maybe 5, 6 or so. And at some point I slacked on the organ and it was given away, and which I was upset about. But, you know, I lost interest in the organ. And, you know, then when I was about maybe 12 or so, I begged, you know, like many kids, begged for a guitar for Christmas. You know, that I wanted a guitar, and there were people in the neighborhood. My older brother played guitar, one of my best friends, you know, everyone was kind of getting guitars, and I really wanted a guitar. So I did get a guitar that Christmas, and right away I started writing songs as opposed to learning covers. I mean, you learn your first couple chords and stuff like that, and I think that because I think you had asked how do you become a songwriter, or how
Yes.
did you become a songwriter? How does one become a songwriter? So I don't really know the answer to that. I mean, I think songwriter, is probably something that's within you. Not that you can't learn it, of course, because I think to become a good writer, you have to write. That Hemingway said that. How does one become good? You write to become a good writer, so you start writing. I fortunately started writing right away. That's kind of what I kind of bonded with most. It was just like seeing what I could find in here and get out of it. So that was great. So, I started then. I always continued to write songs. I still don't know a whole lot of cover songs. I mean, maybe know 30 or 40, which is not a lot, actually.
Wow.
30 or 40 is minimal, because a lot of people, especially all these cover bands, they can know hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
And they're all different, some of them are the same chord structures and all, but I don't know a whole lot of, and I kind of, to some extent, did that on purpose, because I really just wanted to see what I could find, in there on my own. So I just always, wrote songs, and it's funny though, because I think to some degree I was the last one to know that I was really a songwriter. Like I know it now, more than anything, and it's probably my strongest point, gift, and most love, of it all. But when I was younger, I really just wanted to be a musician, or I wanted to be a guitar player. I wanted to be Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix. Whole other story. But anyway, people recognized that in me before I really knew what that meant myself.
Right.
They say, this is my friend Sherri, she's a up and coming songwriter, or blah blah blah. And I was like, why are they referring to me as a songwriter? Why don't they just say she's a musician? It used to kind of actually offend me. I thought it was, I don't know. But then at some point, as you get older and stuff, you realize it. And I've had moments where I couldn't write. I definitely have had a long periods where I thought I'd never ever write again.
Right.
And I guess some writers probably go through that. And then always, mostly lyrics, all, boxes of lyrics. So, napkins on matchbooks on, and then it came back to me, and each time it comes back, I think it goes to another level, which is good, a more understanding of at least your, songwriting, just commercial songwriting, but then just your own, interpretation of your songs and songwriting. So, it's a deep subject, but, I don't know, I always say, I didn't choose music, music chose me. I really feel that way.
I agree with you, yes.
And I feel like I've been trying to outrun it, it's just been chasing me, and I've been, duck, hide, wait, put the guitar down, I'm not playing anymore. And it just, I don't know, it's just something that's why I say, once you have your part of it. I don't know. I feel like I've been running it from something, and it's just chasing me, and I just can't escape it no matter what I do. So, but I love music. I mean, but I never. I don't know. I love music. I love great music. I love sound. I was in the recording industry. I started out wanting to be an engineer, producer. So I was into that for a long time, which I actually love. It's a whole other aspect. So but I don't know that I ever really consciously chose it as opposed to it's here and I'm gonna work with this. Right. Again, we didn't get into the Barry talk, but it was something to keep me going when Barry, when that whole thing happened.
Yeah,
and,
definitely
going to
touch on that.
So if we get there,
we are.
Anyway,
yeah,
I didn't consciously set out to. I wanted to learn how to make records, how records were made. I definitely had a conscious idea of that, which is why I got in the studios and all. And then I found my way back to being a musician, and
Well, I have to tell you that your music, the songs that you wrote, they seem to come from a place of the soul, the heart, and they seem to come from a personal place, perhaps from you. But they also seem to resonate with the listeners. The things that you sing about, the things that you write about are they're music. It's songs and music that so many people can relate to on so many different levels. And I have to ask you, are the bulk of the songs that you write, are they all from personal experiences?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
figured that.
or in a second person personal experience, whereas, you know, like my neighbor could come in and be like, oh, I broke up with my girlfriend and he's so, really upset, or, somebody close to me is having the experience. Like I've written a song, about that, his experience going through that, because it maybe like hit me in a certain way. So if somebody else's experience touches me in a certain way, or a social experience or something, in that way, second or third party. But yeah, usually it's almost always personal experience, but I think everybody throws in, or maybe when you become conscious of it, picks from other little things that, it could be a mesh of experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where there's a bond, there's a connection between Sherri North and her music and David Vincent BOBB and the movie Right Before Your Eyes, because just like Sherri's music, the listener can connect on some kind of level. They can put themselves into that song and relate to something that she's singing about. With the movie Right Before Your Eyes, and believe me, David's going to tell you all about it, I can tell you that when you watch this movie, and it doesn't matter what your background is, all walks of life, it's for the human race, which we all are. We are the human race, and every single human being that watches Right Before Your Eyes, you're going to be touched in some way by it. It's going to touch on your emotions, it's going to touch your heart, it's going to touch your soul. You're going to feel something, and you're actually going to learn something. It's actually going to juggle the mind and make you think. And these two wonderful talents, a musician, a singer, songwriter, executive producer, they came together because Sherri actually wrote a beautiful song. It has a very personal meaning to her, and I'm going to let her tell you about it. And this very wonderful, beautiful song is actually going to be featured in Right Before Your Eyes. I want you to tell us about this song.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Heaven Song.
Yes.
Thank you, Jenny. So Heaven Song, very special, probably one of my most special songs, was written about a dear friend of mine that was killed in a motorcycle accident when I was 17, one of my best friends. And it affected my life in a very big way. I was really, I was heartbroken for a long time. So, at some point, what happened was a friend of mine's mother used to, she was really into metaphysical stuff, and she went to see a psychic. And she was like one of the most famous psychics in England at the time, and she was coming here, blah, blah, blah. And they taped this session, and, the psychic said that some kind of spirit broke through the circle and was like, you have to get a message to someone, and he was like waving his hands, and she was like, I've never experienced anything like this before, and I'm not sure, all the people that were actually there physically were like, it's not really making sense to any of us. So she came back and she was telling her son Tom about it, and he said, my friend Sherri had, this experience with the motorcycle and all that, and I'm wondering if it's for her. So he called me up and he told me about it, and I was like, yeah, send me the tape, whatever. And, it was, I was getting goosebumps then, like I knew like something was going on. So I got the tape, and I listened to the tape, and the tape was, so spot on. Like the way she was describing him and things, and it was obviously a message for me. So, that was my proof solid of life after death at that point, which I had always believed in. I've always been spiritual. I've always had metaphysical things happen. I've been in touch with that. But, who in your life you can never say, that you ever get really concrete evidence, proof that there's life after death. So from that moment on, or that tape on, I have never doubted. I've never ever, like, never doubted. But after that listen that night, I went into my bedroom and I sat down, I wrote Heaven Song. I had a little 4-track Pascal on the floor, and I was on the floor, in my socks like I am now, and it was one of those songs that just kind of, lyrics and music I think came out together.
All right.
Which, there's a zillion ways that can happen, but it just, I don't know, I just wrote it, I probably minimally changed it at all, and then I recorded it,
and the song is going to be heard and is in right before your eyes, which is amazing. Your music is in a movie, and wow, what a movie that it's in. I mean, Heaven Song is really perfect for the kind of movie that Right Before Your Eyes is. But I will let David go ahead and explain that. When you meet David, you'll hear all about Right Before Your Eyes, and I'm telling you, the connection here and the way that things evolved, it's pretty amazing.
So yeah, I guess I should mention, and I told you when I came up here, that person, Barry, that I wrote this song for, lived about 3 blocks away from here. Yeah, so there's all these like crazy kismet things and connections of this song and the movie, and and how it all came to be. It's really crazy. But our friend, a mutual friend that introduced us, she had heard his story, and then I think she heard the song and sent it to him. So.
And we will be hearing Heaven Song a little bit later on.
Yeah.
And I do want to go back to Thanks for the Wine, because I like that song.
Oh my gosh.
And I love the video.
Yeah.
I love the Prohibition era. I love the era of the 20s and the 30s. And when I seen the video, I watched it actually a couple times because it's so cool. Where did you come up with the concept for that?
Well, okay. It's funny, well, the night I wrote that song was written on the sidewalk on South Street. I was actually sitting on the sidewalk outside, and there's another, funny story behind that song, but I hadn't been down in South Philly in a while. I had just come back from Los Angeles, and I was up in the Northeast, and only downtown sometimes, but my mom had moved back downtown. So that night I was kind of stranded. I was sitting on the sidewalk and I was writing about this funny experience. I was going to go to my mom's, and she was telling me these stories of my grandfather, her grandfather, who was a winemaker. Mm-hmm. He used to bootleg wine in South Philly. So they used to actually be down in the basement squashing the grapes with their feet, and everyone would come over the holidays, be like, Lorenzo, his name was Lorenzo, where's the wine, and blah, 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 and people would always be coming for his wine. That was running through my head that night. I did have a glass of wine that night, and the momentum, thanks for the wine, which is kind of sarcastic, that was going on, but I had wine in my head, so I had my great-grandfather in my head, and winemaking, and, Prohibition era, because I had heard all these stories growing up,
right,
of, Aunt Caroline, Aunt Rosie, whatever.
And, I gotta tell the viewers, you definitely have to see this video.
We'll try and post it.
It's really...
Could you leave me? So you did it on purpose.
Oh, fuck. Here, hold on, I'm picking it up. Sometimes I can feel lonely when I'm lost. Better catch me before I slip in the sunlight tomorrow. How could you be? How could you be? And now, how could you smile?
Bob. David, I know a little bit about Right Before Your Eyes. It might be because I do play a character in the movie. I want you to let the viewers know, who is David Vincent Bob? Where did Right Before Your Eyes come from? What's it about?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you, and it was really great to hear Sherri. And this is the first time I'm actually meeting Sherri. I'll tell you a little bit about that later. The film itself has been inspired by and was inspired by events that occurred in my life. I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. I've been in recovery now for over 10 years. I have a son that I started raising by myself about 8 years ago. His name is Christian. He's autistic. He is actually the inspiration for my film. When I was living in New York, I was pursuing a career in acting. And while I was there, I was deep into my addiction and my life was spinning out of control, but somehow I was still able to tap into some creativity and started writing a story, like I said, that was inspired by my son. And basically, I was sitting on a train in New York City and I had this big yellow legal tablet and a pen. And this idea just came to me and I just started writing it down. It was a story, I could see the entire thing in my head at once. It would just like came out of the blue. It like rocked my world. I just started writing on that train, and when I got home to my apartment in New York, I just continued to write, and like 70 pages later, I had a story. And it's basically, as I said, it was inspired by my life, and it's a story about a recovering alcoholic, which I was not at the time. I was deep in my addiction, but it was something that I wanted to be. It was something that I felt, a place I needed to be, you know, so it was kind of therapeutic for me to start writing this stuff out. And it's a story inspired by my life, based on a recovering alcoholic, basically, who's on a trip home to visit his son. And some chaos ensues. In the film, Right Before Your Eyes, you get inside of the mind of the addict, and you see what kind of chaos goes on, and the things that the addict thinks, and what he's going through. And I talked about him in the third person because it is inspired by events in my life. So it's not 100% about me, but it's about a lot of things that did occur in my life. And basically, we follow this character throughout the film as he's telling a passenger on the train sitting next to him. He's telling him his whole story, his life, his dreams, his hopes, where he's been and where he wants to be, and that's with his son. And that's basically what it's about. It's a psychological thriller, like I said, and you get into the mind of that addict. And believe me, you better strap your seatbelt on for this one, because it is a thrill ride. It's a thriller when you find out what this guy has been through and where he's going. It's basically it's a religious film, so it's characterized as a religious psychological thriller, and basically it's a story of faith, love, hope, repentance, and redemption.
And I just want to say, from being in the movie myself, I play the character of Hope in the film, and from what I get out of the film, every viewer is going to get something out of watching this movie. But you touch on so many different subjects. There's a slew of different subjects in this movie. You touch on addiction, autism. There's a few other illnesses, surprises that are in the movie. Anybody who has faced their demons, anybody who has been down, anybody who has been kicked, hit in the teeth, knocked down, when you thought that there was no hope, this movie shows you that, you know what, there's always rejection, there's always hurt, there's always pain, but you know what, there's also resilience, there's also faith and hope, and there's also belief in yourself and in God. And the cast of characters, you have a phenomenal all-star cast in this movie, and I'm going to let you talk about some of the people that are in this movie, but every character brings something special to this movie, and the viewers are going to connect with a couple different characters more so maybe than others, but you're going to have a connection with the character in the movie. You're going to think, it's going to make you think, you're going to learn a lesson, you're going to feel something. You're going to walk into the movie theater as you are presently, and you're going to walk out a changed person. I can tell you that. And I'm going to go ahead and give it back to David so he can talk about the wonderful cast that he has in his movie.
You covered it all right there. I got a promoter. Wow, thank you so much. Wow, that really
That's
means a
how
lot.
I feel. It's from the heart.
Yeah, yeah. That's you nailed it though. Yeah. We do have an amazing cast. Our featured actor. This is the poster for the film. Jason Cutts plays the lead. Ethan Rinjep is his name of the character, who's inspired by events in my life. Jason came into the audition and blew me away. He hit on certain characteristics of the character that other actors just couldn't touch. He had a lot of emotion. He even cried during one of the scenes, and that really choked me up. The casting director actually had to come over and stop me from quivering. He really touched me, and that's kind of what I was looking for with the characters in this film. As I was auditioning, I wanted to. It's kind of like one of those things where it's part of my life, so I knew as soon as that actor came in and did what I was looking for, I knew it when I saw it, and it was that easy, really. I mean, I was just hoping and praying that the right person came along, and Jason did, and he's been a blessing, you know. We also have Brian O'Halloran's in the film. Brian is is a featured actor in a lot of Kevin Smith movies.
Clerks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I know.
Brian played Dante in Clerks, and he's been in Chase and Amy, Dogma.
Yep.
He's been in a bunch of Kevin Smith movies, and he's also done a bunch of indie features. I met him through my line producer, Roy Kuryakin. Roy said, "Hey, we might be able to get Brian O'Halloran." He said, "I'll try to hook it up for me," and a few weeks later, I got a letter from Brian stating that he was interested in doing the film, and the rest is history. We have him on the cast now, and we're shooting in October, by the way. It hasn't shot yet.
Right.
I know you talk about the film you're there, and which I think is beautiful. You know, we're shooting at the end of October, beginning of November of this year, premiering in May of 2018 at the beautiful Allen Theater in Annville. But back to the characters real quick. We also have the ultra-talented Brian Anthony Wilson. Brian Anthony Wilson is a character you might have seen in the HBO show The Wire. He played a recurring role, Detective Holly. He's an amazing actor. When we were shooting the Indiegogo campaign, I remember it was my first time actually seeing him live, and as he was coming toward the camera talking, you could just feel that, you know, he was just, you know, he's the perfect part for the role. And like I said, it's you always, you know it when you see it, and he has that it factor. He's so talented. Like even the director of photography, while we were shooting the Indiegogo campaign, was like, "Man, you are amazing," and it's true. He's truly amazing.
Yes.
And he'll play. He's actually going to be sitting next to Ethan on the train ride, and Ethan will tell his story to that character. That's who he's going to be talking to. Brian Anthony Wilson plays the role of Ambrose in the film, and we have a slew of other very talented characters in this one. One of my favorites, though, is Corey Graham, who's featured on the poster here. Corey came in and gave the best audition, hands down, of any actor or actress that came on board. she made choices that you could tell she paid attention to the casting notice, what I was looking for, because she did everything that was asked and went above and beyond, and she understood the story. And it's hard to do for an actor to come in and try to nail a role in the couple minutes that they have to do. It's, you know, I've been an actor, I know how tough it is. Like, you have a million things going through your head, should I do this, should I do that? But
Right.
Corey really nailed it, and she was amazing. I can't wait to start working with her, working with the rest of the cast too.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can tell you, this movie opened up a door for me that I never thought I'd walk through. This is the movie that let me and the world notice that I can actually act. And it's the way that we were connected and the way that you named my character Hope without even meeting me, without really knowing my story and without knowing that I had the word hope tattooed on me. It just, everything works out for a reason. And I just want to say, I can't wait to work on this project because I've made some wonderful friends with a lot of the cast. And it's a wonderful movie. It's so inspirational. And we're going to talk about how David and Sherri come together through Sherri's song for the movie Right Before Your Eyes, coming up next. So now I want to ask David the all-important question about music and how he picks out the music for Right Before Your Eyes. How important, how deep did you have to look into finding the right music for this movie? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, the type of music that I knew this right away, like as soon as I was writing the film, like I said, the whole idea came into my head and I see this whole thing playing out. It's ethereal. It's very heavenly. I'm looking for music that relates to God, that relates to spirituality, things like that, things that'll touch you when you hear them. This is really important. To me, music should not be a filler in any film. I honestly believe that the music should be as equal as a story. The music that I want to choose has to be able to carry the story. Originally looking for, way back when I first decided that I was going to put this movie into production, of course, one of the things I was doing was looking around. I got on Facebook and I started hooking up with some different film companies and artists and composers and musicians, all from the Philadelphia area, because I knew this is where I wanted to film it. So I was looking for local talent to hopefully bring to the forefront and show people, hey, this person has some beautiful music. And I was hoping I'd find the right person. And I met Sherri through a mutual friend in the business. She introduced us, and I think Sherri told a story earlier about how this person, we have this mutual friend, told Sherri, hey, I have this movie and I think your song, the Heaven song, might be good for this film. So I was listening to some of her catalog, and like I said, when choosing things for my film or listening or looking for an actor, it's that feeling that you get, you know it, especially because I lived it. There's a certain type of music that I want for this film, and when I heard the Heaven song, it took about 30 seconds and I was like, this is it. This song is going to be in my film. I don't know where it's going to be, but it's going to fit somewhere in this film and I'm going to use it.
Wow. How did you approach Sherri about the song and being in the movie?
Well, I think it's helped in the film, right?
We did. It's interesting. Like I'm thinking, well, Laura had told me, about the film. Our friend, we have a mutual friend, and I had been writing some other thing, trying to write for this other thing, and she was saying, no, we should send my friends make, film, and we need someone to write the film, and I think she wanted me to write like all the music or something, even instrumental stuff. She started going off on a tangent. That's the way she is, but. I said, well, wait a minute, what's going on, don't send anything yet, well, let me read the script and meet this guy, whatever. And she's like, no, you got your blah. So, she told me about the story, and then I thought of, Heaven Song. I said, oh, well, Heaven Song seems like it might be a good fit. She just gave me a really quick synopsis, and I might have sent her 3, and I said, just, well, I said hold off for a minute. Anyway, she sent them that night. I think she already sent it.
So I was thinking she didn't even send it. Anyway, the next thing I knew, she had sent it, and David's calling me. Oh, I love this song, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And then when we started really talking about it, you know, I was like, oh my God, wow, it's really a perfect fit, you know. And then when I read the script, you know, it was even, you know, more kind of kismet, and as we can all attest, sitting here, just the three of us and all of our stories and all of the circumstance is all, you know, totally metaphysical. I call it a spiritual, psychological thriller, but there's definitely some kind of something going on, because the way that everything, you know, has been connected, and then we don't have time to really get into the whole backdrop of everybody's story and that other connection. You know, it's pretty, I guess it was kind of meant to be. I was thrilled to death that he really loved the song. And he kind of explained to me, you know, like what he was just saying about the stuff he was kind of looking for. So, yeah, you know, I love the script. I read the script. I think, you know, what you really covered it when you were saying everybody can get something out of this film. You know, there's so many aspects, you know, spiritually, psychologically, and then that whole backstory as would relate to my life too, of having addicts around me and having, you know, knowing somewhat about addictions and that whole end of the spectrum.
You overcame an illness.
Yeah,
as
myself overcoming.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a 4-year survivor of breast cancer.
And I wanted you to say that because you know what? It takes a lot of strength. It takes a special kind of person to sit there and do what you do and move forward and just live life. And the connection that we all have is that we've been down, all of us. But you know what? We've picked ourselves back up. Me being a brain tumor patient, multiple brain tumors, we've had our talks, you know. While we were even talking about our illnesses, we had smiles on our faces. We were laughing. We were joking. We're lovers of life. And I love being in this movie. I love music. I'm doing what I love. I'm living life. And I can't say it enough. And it's not because I'm in the movie. This is a must-see. It is. This movie is going to touch every single person. It's a much anticipated, loved movie. We did an Indiegogo campaign. When we were filming for that, I felt like I was the character. I felt it. I felt everybody else's character. It was just, it's meant to be, and it's meant to be viewed. It's meant to be seen. And I want you to tell everybody, what do you want to get out of this movie?
What I want, and I'm glad you asked me that, because in the beginning when I wrote this, I wrote it for the love of my son and for wanting to give something back to him, and you know, to let him know that I'm thinking about him even when I'm not around. I wanted to leave my footprint. Hey, here's this film that your dad made because he loves you so much. But what I really want out of this film, besides that, something to give back to my son, is if one person watches this film and is saved by it, or doesn't use a drug that day, or doesn't drink that day, or it makes them think twice about doing it the next time. In the beginning, when I wrote this, it was about giving something to my son, but also when I wrote this film, way back when I was in my addiction, it was a lot of it was about me. I wanted to be this famous guy that everybody knew, so I'll write a whole story about myself in a film, and I'll star in it, and everyone will know who I am. But over the years, as I've matured, this film has matured, that's changed, and that's not what it's about anymore. It's about me giving something away. It's about me hiring the girl who has inoperable brain tumors because she has such a passion for life. I want people like that, and people that serve breast cancer survivors in my film, that I can use their music for in my film, because they have overcome so many hardships, and to me that's more important than you could give me $1 billion, and if I had, that's not going to give me as much satisfaction as knowing that somebody made such a huge difference in somebody else's life. So really it's about giving something away. It really is. like I said, if one person can be saved by this film, an addict goes in and sees my film and says, wow, you know what? He did it, so I can do it, right? Give him hope, because that's really what it's all about. This entire film, that's what it's about. It's about hope.
And living. And
Awesome.
living life, and because you have to live until you
Awesome. You know what? Like I said so many times in different interviews, I truly believe that God did not put us on this earth just to take up space. He put us here for a reason. How you find your purpose, you don't know how you're going to find your purpose. You can find it through tragedy. We all kind of found our purpose through hardships and tragedies. What we did with that is we made those tragedies, those hardships, we turned it into purpose. And through our turning it into purpose, we found so much about ourselves, and it brought out our talents. So I have never been enjoying life so much until after my diagnosis of 3 brain tumors. I never knew how good I was in front of the camera. I never knew I had this in me, but you know what? Now that I know, people are noticing. I'm getting out there, I'm doing my thing. I love it. I'm living life. If I'm not here tomorrow, it's okay, because I enjoyed my life today. And people are going to get something something very good out of Right Before Your Eyes. And David, this movie is going to be epic. And we are going to promote the heck out of it. And people are going to love it.
Thank you.
And they're going to know David, Vincent, Bob. They're going to know the cast. They're going to know all of us. They're going to know the music of Sherri North. So I want Sherri now, if you would, play us another song, entertain us. It's about having fun, please, and then tell us what the
Can
song's
do.
about.
Okay.
And okay.
Okay.
A lot of talent. She can do some amazing covers as well. And she's going to do me a favor. She's given me a little treat here. As most people know, I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan. Sherri's going to play some Led Zeppelin. Go ahead, girlfriend.
Okay. This is for Jenny. Smokes not stop and he drinks
did. Thank you.
I was back here singing with you. I was like, that was good. See, now I can just listen to that all the time. And then you said you do Fleetwood Mac too? You like Fleetwood Mac too.
What are you doing?
Okay, now to conclude our segment with Front Steps Philly, I'm going to go ahead and let David Vincent BOBB close with talking a little bit about his movie, and we're going to end with the wonderful Sherri North performing Heaven's Song. Go ahead, David.
So all I ask is that if you have a chance, please check us out. We have a website. It's www.beforeyoureyesfilm.com. We have lots of great stuff on there. We have videos, pictures, we have actors, there are IMDb websites, a lot of good, nice, cool things to look at, a lot of videos. You can catch us on Twitter at RBYE Film, and our Facebook page is Right Before Your Eyes. And now to conclude, I would like to introduce Sherri North playing my most favorite song.
Tell me of a world